1-866-748-5263, the number, toll free across the country and in Canada. He's Chocolate Myers. I'm Rick Benjamin. Top of the hour, we'll check in with Moody and Angie. Sirius Speedway will launch at 3 o'clock Eastern Time here on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Let's head to the hotline. Always good to get a chance to chat with Trent Owens, crew chief for Reed Sorensen, one of our show regulars. They take care of things for the 32 car over at Turner Motorsports Nationwide Garage, the winners of the Bucyrus 200. And we are bowing to you today here on the program, Trent, because you are the only guy in the Nationwide Garage who had the fuel mileage thing completely figured out. You had no problems. It was all good, right?
Yeah, if you want to look at it that way. Pretty nervous there.
Trent, when we got down towards the end, congratulations to start with, but when we got down towards the end of that race, looks like you guys were going to be pretty daggone happy coming out of there with just running good. Your whole organization over there, you guys, I think at one time you had 3 cars in the top 5, something like that, and then things started to happen pretty daggone quick. When you saw Justin Allgaier, those guys run out of fuel, then what happened with you? How nervous were you?
Yeah, when we saw, obviously our 31 leading the race, they ran out of fuel. Our 38 right behind us ran out of fuel. Logical, you think we would too. We had been getting a little bit better mileage than they were throughout the race, throughout practice sessions. So we may have thought we had a little bit of cushion. But immediately when the 31 had its fuel problem, we just said, gosh, just make it back. We'll be declared the winner. And so immediately he just slowed the pace car speed and made it back, fortunately.
Now, were you worried at all about Fellows and how that situation was going to play out there at the end, or did you know that, because I heard that one of the calls, one of the broadcasts was Fellows is going to win, but you saw what was going on pretty much right out of the gate, I would imagine, right?
Well, immediately I didn't worry, but then when we come across the checkered flag, it was taking so long to tell us who won. I usually know how my luck usually goes. And so I was like, "Oh boy, they're gonna really get one here." So then I started to worry a pretty good bit. But luckily, I definitely think NASCAR made the correct call, and they've seen where we maintained our speed. We didn't slow down or run out of fuel, so they definitely made the right call.
Yeah, Trent, the one thing that I did see that was pretty daggone impressive, your driver, a guy that's been around this business for quite a while now. I got to tell you something. We talk about people that needed something to happen. We've had a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in this guy, but I'm not so sure he had as much confidence as we did. Pretty daggone happy guy when he steps out of that race car.
Oh, yeah, it was a huge win for him. We've been close. We've had good runs. We've been in the top 5. We've been in the top 10. We led laps at Iowa. Just really like, man, what do we got to do to win one of these things? The least place we ever expected it was Road America. I mean, yeah, we just wanted to go up and come out there with a top 10. We felt like that was going to be our weak races if we had any. So to come out there with a victory, a lot of circumstances played our way to get us that win, but nonetheless, it was a victory. We were there. It's just a big, big momentum boost for the team and especially for Reed.
It certainly was fantastic to see you guys come up with everything fall your way at the end there on Saturday. Trent Owens with us on the hotline, crew chief for Reed Sorensen in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. They're back in the points lead after their win under caution Saturday at Road America. The flip side of all that, you mentioned the 38 and Jason Leffler, certainly Justin Allgaier, who had been right there in the points chase, falls to 4th, 34 back, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but this has been a points battle between the top 3, 4, 5 guys that's been 10 points or less for most of the season. How's Justin doing today, and what's the mood over on their side of the shop?
They're doing fine. I mean, we work very close together. We all put in the same hours. Obviously, they're very disheartened in the way things unfolded for them. If they can't win, we always like to see our teammates win. So forth. So they definitely felt like they lost one, but it was just unfortunate circumstance that could happen to any of us. But fortunate enough, it was one of the team cars that was able to take the victory. But they're a good group. 38 points. It sounds like a lot, but it's definitely attainable the way they've been running here over the past month.
Trent, just a few minutes ago, we had Larry McReynolds sit down here in the studio with us for a segment, and we talked a little bit about it. And we talked a little bit about being the pressure that's on a crew chief today. And then we talked about trying to make sure that you were going to have enough fuel for the race. Well, everybody does that. Then you've got to think about the green-white checker, and I think most of the folks do that. Nobody, I don't think, had sit down and did the math and said, okay, what if we run an extra 24, 27 miles or whatever it is? You guys just were in a tough predicament there to try to strategize this race, I would imagine, right?
But you have to remember, Road America is 4 miles on one lap.
Right.
And that's basically 1 gallon of gas. You have to figure for 1 lap of green. That's the mileage is 4 miles per gallon. So basically what we did during the race is we pitted with 2 green-white checkers being our safe and thinking we were very safe on that, not knowing we would get into the third one. So, yeah, we didn't have, but after he did his burnouts and all that stuff, I think 0.2 of a gallon of fuel left. That was it.
Wow. That's cutting it closer than you'd probably like to, any way you want to think about that. This week, the equation changes. I mean, you guys have a short week to turn around, like 6 days, much shorter than that to get to Daytona and get on the racetrack, but racing 6 days later. Reed was good there in February, back at, 5th place finish right in front of your teammate Jason Leffler. How good can you guys be? Do you take the same car down there this week that you ran so well with in February?
We do. We have the same exact race car, and both Speedway races this year we've run really well at. So we're looking forward to this weekend, the 2-car draft, and that's definitely going to be a wild race, just like we all know. But him and Leffler hooked up really good at Talladega, really good at Daytona. So I anticipate them two getting together again and trying to make some waves.
Reed, I always like to talk about the guys that work in the race shop, the guys that work on that race car at the racetrack, the guys that are going over the wall. With that entire race team, you have got to have a bunch of happy people working over there with the results that you're getting. I mean, we saw, what are you all at? Is this 3rd win this year?
It's the 3rd win of the 15 races. So, as a whole, Turner Motorsports is just very, very thrilled with the performance so far this season. It's not, the excitement level is really up. The morale is really up. It's a nice work environment right now. You've been a part of these things, and your momentum just keeps when you're on a roll. So hopefully we can continue.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch you guys develop as a race team and get into a situation where you can be right there week in, week out. Of course, the change in the points table means that your drivers are automatically going to be right in the thick of the discussion. Have you started to think about winning this championship yet? And, in realistic terms, thinking, hey, this isn't just pie in the sky. This is something we can actually go get done here in the next 15, 16 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, every race, so we think about that a little bit, especially like when we figured in the 2 green-white checkers into our fuel mileage. I mean, that was a little bit points related. I mean, we normally don't see 3 green-white checkers. So, yeah, definitely every race we definitely think about it, but you can't let it block the fact that you just got to go out and do the best you can do every week and still try to get the wins, still try to get the finishes. But, I'd be telling you a story if we didn't think about it during the race and going into the race. So it's starting to get tight.
Trent, your driver had a pretty good view of a lot of things going on at the front of that racetrack. We saw some guys making some crazy moves and making some daredevil moves and doing some things that didn't work out. How nervous were you with just a few laps to go in that race when all the shenanigans were going on up towards the front?
It was hard for me to watch. Luckily, they have that delay on the TV, so I kind of knew we already made it through it. But yeah, it was. You never know what's going to happen. I knew when the caution come out with, I can't remember what it was, 5 or 6 to go. I was like, oh boy, this is when it all starts. So I'm just thankful we made it through it all. But you're right, it was getting pretty wild.
And the road course guys who come and run that race, Fellows, of course, Michael McDowell, guys that you don't normally see week in, week out. Certainly get Villeneuve, a world champion there, Max Pappas. Are those guys make it more challenging, more fun, or is that more of a headache for you?
Well, I think they bring the competition up, which is nice. And, having Jacques Villeneuve drive our car the past couple of years really helped me as a crew chief in preparing the cars better. But the other side of that, when you talk about points, they're not running for points. So that's where the danger comes from, and that's where all the excitement comes from, and that's the part we have to try to dodge. So it makes that part really difficult. But I think, from the fan perspective or from the race perspective, it probably makes it a better race.
Yeah, it certainly adds spice to it from a fan perspective, but you got to factor in a lot of guys that might not normally be part of the equation there, and that certainly makes it more challenging for you guys. Well, Daytona in frame Friday night, 250 miles. It'll be over in a heartbeat there, and just wish you guys well heading into the summer stretch here.
All right. Well, thank you.
Always good to have Trent Owens with us, winning crew chief at the Nationwide Series race, Bucyrus 200 up at Road America with Reed Sorensen in the saddle on Saturday.